Jonathan Taylor is having an incredible season. Or he hadn't missed a practice, hadn't missed a game, he hadn't been on an injury report, none of that stuff. Jonathan Taylor is just balling and putting the Colts in a position where they can put away opponents by utilizing him, whether they're ahead, whether they're behind. You hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor, you got a chance to win that game. Here's Jonathan.
I kind of had a two-man kind of almost police escort with AP and Tyler. But that's how those runs happen. Like you said, Tyler broke off before I even got into full stride. I mean, he seen that I was coming out of the run, and then he started just taking off looking for work downfield. That goes back to something I mentioned earlier, is just guys playing unselfishly and understanding that doing that ultimately leads to a big play. And same thing for the running backs. We have a fake or something in the flat. We're sprinting full speed, just maybe to pull one guy just 1 foot out of the passing lane so that Daniel can, deliver the ball downfield. So I think that's been a big part of our success this year.
We've noticed, like with Pitt and AP being great blockers. Do you think that's the way it is with all receivers, or are you blessed to have a good blocker?
There definitely have been stories of receivers who have not, played as hard as the receivers that we have. So I'm always thankful for the guys that we have, and I think it's a testament to the front office of how thoroughly they watch film and vet. Like, hey, who are we going to bring in here? We're going to get guys who are going to play all 4 downs hard and play for one another.
What do you do on the bye week? Do you have a set routine you've gotten over the years, or is it different year to year?
Yeah, you got to get a little work in, similar to what you would do if it was a normal week, to try and flush out some of that inflammation. But definitely on the back half of the bye week, you got to decompress. I think that's taking advantage of the bye week. Obviously, if you just spend the whole bye week working like a normal work week, then you really don't get that opportunity to recharge and reset. And I think that ultimately leads to an advantage to other players around the league who may have done so already. So I think it's a good balance between beginning of the bye week, getting some work in, flushing out the inflammation like a normal work week, but then on the back half, being able to just decompress, get some R&R in.
JT, you mentioned it a little bit over in Berlin, but as a former track guy, did you have a greater appreciation for doing what you did at the stadium that Jesse Owens won the 4 gold medals, and we know what was going on at that time?
Oh no, definitely. I was telling a couple of my family members, it kind of feels like we kind of made history in that stadium as well. Like almost we're a part of it. Of course, the magnitude of that was way different, but it just feels awesome to be able to share that with them. Like, hey, we were in a historic stadium with an historic kind of history, and we had our own little piece of history there.
Jonathan, I know you haven't played at Arrowhead, but what do you have to maybe be aware of going into that stadium this weekend?
I mean, obviously they've mentioned the noise, the volume level there a ton, so that's going to be awesome though. I know it's going to be a challenge, but I mean, it's almost like in college when you have those big games in those loud stadiums and it's like 90,000+ people there. I mean, it's exciting, but of course at this level you got to make sure that we're on our alignments and assignments, but communication is going to be key, especially with what I've heard of how it's a hostile environment.
Is there anything you maybe learned about communicating with Daniel from that Pittsburgh game, which is also a pretty loud environment?
That definitely was loud. I think a lot of that goes into the beginning of the week. Hey, how are we going to handle kind of the crowd noise? How are we going to handle that environment? Come in with different cadences. Come in with, hey, let's see what the crowd noise is like. Maybe it might not be as loud. You never know. So you just want to have all scenarios under your belt throughout the week so that whatever you get on Sunday, you understand that we prepare for it throughout the week.
This year, Carly's taking a different spotlight because of her becoming the principal owner, but you've been here for years. So what was it like before she stepped into, I guess, the big magnitude?
Carly has always been very personable, always had a smile on her face, always speaking to a bunch of the players, asking their opinions, always learning. And I think you mentioned it's this bit of more of a spotlight now because obviously, the role that she's moved into at the forefront, but she's kind of been doing some of the same things, and we've all known Carly and gotten to know her over the years, but I just think it's just been a magnitude or a magnifying glass put on her because it's something different. But at the end of the day, that's why this organization is such a great organization, and you don't get the type of hospitality, you don't get the type of family atmosphere that you get here other places. It's from what I'm told. I haven't been anywhere else.
How would she, I guess, build a relationship with you personally? Because a lot of guys in the locker room say, like, they go out of their way to make sure that I'm seen, I'm kind of felt heard. So what's that been like for you?
I mean, same thing, always. I mean, from day one, at the end of the day, even with Mr. Irsay still being here, I mean, you obviously want to put that effort in the forefront and say, show your appreciation, get to know them because they did a ton of research on you. So they know a ton about you. Of course, they'll get to know you more over the years, but you obviously want to get to know who their ownership is, what is their philosophy, things about them and their family. But she's, like you mentioned, she's always gone out of her way to either create time, whether that's a specific, hey, I want to meet with you, or passing by in the hall, having a conversation with you. So that kind of energy being reciprocated, I think, is something that I don't know if it's everywhere, but I haven't heard too many places where ownership is taking a hands-on approach of trying to get to know their players on an individual level.
Jonathan, what's it that run in Berlin maybe reinforce about patience? You talked about that a lot, right? Just letting blocks develop or let the play unfold. Did it reinforce anything?
Definitely, but understanding that you can't give up on play and understanding the situation too that we were in. Obviously, we needed a first down, so you keep the legs churning, but guys just fall off. So being able to keep your eyes up and not just kind of bury in the offensive line and just get what you can get. It's, hey, I'm gonna keep my eyes up, I'm gonna keep my feet churning, and then you can turn and play into a touchdown like that.
Shane, what is it about the way Daniel is wired and the way Shane is wired that allows them to have so much synergy?
No, they're wired the same. You guys have heard of how Daniel basically lives here. And when you pair that with Shane, I just imagine them in a meeting and they're sitting there for like hours just bouncing ideas off of one another and just thinking, how can we go into this game with the most advantageous looks and put all of us in the best situation possible. Because I mentioned to you guys before, Shane, he's come up before practice, saying, JT, this is what I'm thinking about. It's not on the script, but I want to try this at practice. So when you have a guy like Shane, a coach like Shane that's competitive as he is, and then you have a quarterback like Daniel who's also competitive, but also is as dialed in to his craft as he is, you can get special things.
How do you, in a game like this, you're playing a team that's won 3 Super Bowls in the last 6 years, there last year. Shane talks about trying to keep a level head. Do you yourself, get hyped up for a big game like this, going to Kansas City, playing Chiefs? Do you try to stay level? How do you try to balance those two ideas?
Well, it's always great to go and play a former opponent like this. Like you mentioned, they've won 3 Super Bowls, so understand it's going to be a well-coached team. You don't just win, 3 Super Bowls without being well-coached. So understanding you have to stay patient. You'll have to be able to establish a line of scrimmage. You're going to have to be able to, it's going to be a 4-quarter game. It's going to be a 60-minute game. Obviously, like I just keep over-reiterating is, you don't just win 3 Super Bowls without being talented, but also a well-coached team. So you can't get frustrated in games like this. You got to take it one play at a time, one snap at a time, playing at a high level every single snap.
There's still a national sentiment that this Chiefs team is, though they are 5-5, a lot of folks kind of see them maybe even as the favorite in this game. You guys are 8-2. You guys have had the best offense in the league the entire year. Do you feel like this locker room might almost kind of embrace that underdog mentality of, look what we've done, and folks are still maybe not totally buying into the body work?
Definitely, and like I mentioned, a former opponent, so obviously a lot of people out there are giving them probably the benefit of the doubt, understanding that they're going to continue to fight. They're not just going to lay down, and which we understand as well. But we know it's going to be a 4-quarter game. We're going to fight, scratch, and claw until that clock strikes 0. And like I mentioned, we have to play at a high level every single snap going into this hostile environment.
Last one.
Jonathan, you guys have seen a lot of pressures, a lot of blitzes this year, because I think teams realize that if they don't, you'll do what you do, Daniel Jones will do what he does. Is that sort of just life now? You just sort of have to know going into every game that teams are going to heat you up on purpose?
Oh, definitely. And you understand, the more you keep winning, the more you keep having success, defenses and D coordinators are going to try to find different ways to get you guys off rhythm, behind schedule. So it's going to be on us to be able to handle that week to week, whatever the flavor of the game is, whatever they decide to bring, whatever they decide to do. We'll have to handle that with our alignment, assignment, and technique. Of course, the coaches will brainstorm each and every single week to put us in the best position, but then ultimately on Sunday, we have to execute.
There's Jonathan Taylor, and you get the feeling that he's feeling pretty good about where he is with his body coming off this bye week. I think he's going to have a really good game against the Chiefs. And here's the thing, Spagnuolo, you know what? If he blitzes, and he blitzes at the wrong time in the wrong place on the wrong down and distance, Jonathan Taylor is going to take it to the house.